Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
And now, here's your host.
right, Chris?
All right, guys, how the devil are you all? Welcome along to Leicester Till I Die TV. Following what is left of the squad that is Leicester City Football Club, let's make the most of having enough players to be able to put a full team out before all the vultures start taking everybody away. Have you had a good summer? It feels like it was only yesterday when we stopped the Premier League. We've had a great summer of women's football, and we're going to be carrying that on during next season because we will be doing Monday night's going to be our review night. We're going to do Monday at 7 o'clock a review of the Premier League, and at 9 o'clock we're going to be doing a review of the Women's Super League. So we're going to get behind that a lot next season. But hey, the Premier League is back.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
Now, before we get into the show itself, I just want to make a bit of a plea here. You'll all know Jerry Taggart. He's a good friend of the show. He does the football predictions. He's been on the show a couple of times. And if nothing else, you've got to love him because he did try to strangle Dennis Wise. And in my book, makes him a hero. Now, he's asking if I can just give this a shout out. And to be totally honest with you, I am more than happy to. I haven't been able to donate myself yet. I'll be doing that later on after the show because he only just came on to talk to me before the show. But if you don't know him, well, you'll know of him. I mean, he works for the club now. He does the commentary on the matches. But for those, if you're a bit younger, go and ask your dad. But there used to be a player called Cyril Regis. He wasn't a Leicester player. He was a West Bromwich Albion player. But when it comes to illnesses and things like that, we know sometimes it doesn't respect club colours at all, and certain things go beyond club colours. We know that. We've sort of had been on the other end of it, as you know, in the not too distant past. Well, Jerry's wife, Jerry's, I think it's his. Let's have a look. He did tell me. Let me just have a look. I can't. Where are we? He was a personal friend. Cyril Regis was a personal friend of Jerry Taggart and his wife, and he was a great human being. He really does say. Cyril's wife is Julia, and Cyril's sister is Denise. Jerry's wife, Annette, along with Julia and Denise, are going to be doing a trek. Immediately, it puts me off because it's exercise, isn't it? But basically, they are trekking. Now, you know what I'm like for pronunciation, so bear with me. They are trekking Machu Picchu. Now, to be honest with you, I thought that was one of the Pokemon, but apparently not. From the 9th of October to the 18th of October, we're raising funds for both the Cyril Regis Legacy Trust and the Albion Foundation. We were supposed to undertake the trek last year, but obviously with COVID and everything, so they are raising funds for that. It's a great cause. It's only a £5 or a couple of quid you can donate. There's a Just Giving page. It's in the Facebook group. It's in our Twitter at LeicesterTID as well. Like I say, illness doesn't have any barriers. Please get over there and support that. If no other reasons, as I said to Jerry, it's going to give him 10 days peace and quiet with his wife away. So let's do it for Jerry, if nobody else. But it is a good cause. Please get over there and, to the Just Giving page, links in Facebook and Twitter, and support it. But we've got a bit of a game on Sunday. It's back. Oh, a new season, new toys. You wouldn't believe what I've got. I've had too much time on my hand. That's the problem. We'll just quickly go through some comments. Jason, good evening. How are you? Welcome along. Richard, how are you? I hope Jake had a really good 15th birthday. Scott, good evening as well. Richard, he's saying thank you to Scott. Terry says Surrey, just one of the first non-white players in the Football League. Remember him very well. And played for England as well. Tuned in for a preview of the relegation 6-pointer. Yep, mate. Yeah, you've had a couple of good seasons as West Ham. You're gonna be back where you belong this season. And Craig, the Arsenal fan, good evening. Please say Tillemans will be joining us. Please say you're going to put some money up for him, because at the moment you've not. Spencer, good evening. David, good evening as well. Let's bring my guests in. First of all, he's been on the show before, but very kindly has agreed to come on and talk about the game. From Bessotted Brentford, it is Dave. Good evening, Dave. Thank you for holding on there. How the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, as you say, it seems like 5 seconds since the previous season was here. So looking forward to getting it back up and running, and hopefully get some points on the board as well.
I think we both say that, don't we? Let's hope it's not just one each. But I did say Bessotted Brentford. Your links are in the description below on YouTube. But give a shout out as to where people can find you and sub to you.
Yeah, if you want to see our website, we're Bessotted, BESSOTTED.com. Twitter is at Bessotted as well. And all our podcast links are normally there. Or go to www.prideofwest.london is the URL for the podcast. So come and check us out. We recorded our Leicester City preview show a couple of nights ago. So so there's plenty to listen to there.
We'll probably have no players left by the time it comes to kick off.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
TM, good evening. Welcome along. I know, TM, you've come in to see it, and I really wish I could say that it's still. He shaved it off. He has shaved it off. Craig, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Chris. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, Dave. Good to see you.
No beard. Was it itching?
No, it was. It was there for a reason, and that reason has gone.
Say no more. No more.
As I say, there's only one bearded hunk allowed on this channel, and raise your cap.
What bearded? What did you say?
Yeah, it was. If anybody didn't hear me properly, it was. I did actually say hunk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll let you off then. I'll let you off. It's good to have it back, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame it finished. To be honest with you, we were in such a really good run of form towards the end of the season that we would have liked it to continue. Although we lost on the final day to Leeds, we had player sent off and then another hobbled off, so we were down to 9. And obviously, if you can look back, Leeds were fighting for their life, weren't they? So they weren't going to roll over. So apart from that, we had a really strong end to the season. We just need that to that continue into the new campaign.
Exactly. And Craig will back me up on this. We've got a good friend of the channel, Dan from Burnley. He did send a message for you, but I can't read it out.
Okay, well, I'll whatever the sentiment was, I'll reciprocate it.
Oh dear. So it's Sunday. It's been moved because is it the Caribbean Festival, Craig?
It's the Caribbean Carnival.
Carnival.
Yeah, it was too many plans from too many people to postpone that. So we've moved to a day later. And as you say, you know, it's a day longer for somebody to come and buy one of our players. So
yes,
see what happens.
Exactly. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen. Obviously, it's the first game of the new season, so we haven't got sort of any sort of recent form to go on. But this is how, like you were mentioning then, Dave, how the season finished for you. I mean, like you say, what have I got up there? Have I got Liverpool? I tell you what, I need to go home. That's what I need to do.
It looks good to me, Chris.
It does.
It looks all right to me.
No, it does on that screen, but I can't see that because I'm old and my eyes aren't that good. And I'm looking on another screen here, and I've got Fulham versus Liverpool. But like you said, you lost to Leeds on the last day, but you beat Everton 3-2, which is no mean feat. It was something we couldn't do at the end of the season. You beat Southampton 3-0. You were Man United, they were up and down season the cup, but you held Tottenham again, which was no mean feat. So as you said, it was a good end to the season for you.
Yeah, you know, we're realists as well. You know, we know we're not going to win every week, and you've got to take your points where realistically possible, and especially when it was a learning curve for us pretty much last season, and we had a real stinky run. You know, around the winter into the early part of 2022. So yeah, it was hard at times, but you know, thoroughly enjoyable overall. You know, 13th place finish was something we would have bitten anyone's hand off at the start of the campaign. And you know, I think, you know, I'm not counting any chickens, but I think the club, you know, they're spending and preparing for improving on that. So let's see how it pans out. Yeah.
And Craig, I mean, our end to the season, it was probably the best time of the season for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that. What have we scored there? Sort of 13, 14 goals in the last. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
decent finish, albeit against teams whose seasons were virtually over. But you can only beat what's in front of you.
You can. And to be honest, though, at the start of the season, we were struggling to beat teams like that.
We had a very poor start to the season, and I would imagine it's something Brendan and the team are focusing on, because it really does set the tone, doesn't it? If you get off to a bad start, we all know how difficult the Premier League is. So if you're already playing catch up, then the pressure's on from the off. So it's really important to have a strong start over the first few games.
Definitely. It looks like we're losing Tielemans if it's ever Arsenal get their hand in the pocket. But Dave, you've obviously lost your, I know, you know, disrespect to the other players, but your key player in Ericsson. Did you kind of have a feeling that he was going to leave, or were you sort of hoping beyond hope that you might be able to keep him?
On a personal level, yeah, I thought he was. I'd sold myself on the concept of him staying, but you know, looking back, that was just naive of me. It's just a toughie because of the backstory to Christian. You know, in fact, you know, him dying and then coming back from that, and then you know, playing football at any level again, which was a remarkable miracle when you saw him being carried off the pitch, you know, in the Euros. For him to be so good, you know, I just thought that he might reassess his kind of ambitions and just be happy to be playing somewhere, you know, that he was surrounded by Danes, and you know, he's got a World Cup coming up, which I assume he'll captain Denmark. I thought he would just kind of give us until next January, but you know, Man United come calling. It's a hard one. You know, they've given him a lot of money, and you know, I don't know what his medical condition is long term, but you've got to take a windfall like that, I would have thought. But yes, it's a shame. But looks like we're going to get Mikael Damsgaard as a replacement for him. Hopefully, we can get that over the line before the weekend. That's a landmark signing for us.
Signing? Tell me, Craig, what's one of them?
Yeah, I think they're overrated, aren't they? Signing new players, very overrated.
I think if you've got a good enough squad, you don't need to add to it, do you?
No, I think, to be honest, I think, if I was a Brentford fan, I'd be quite excited by a couple of the players that you've already bought anyway. I think Ben Mee is a great signing. Not only that, you managed to get away with not getting Vestergaard. That's like a new signing. But also, Hickey and Lewis Potter, look like two really exciting young signings for me. What's the feeling around amongst the Brentford fans on those two guys?
Yeah, we've been in for both of those for two windows. So we've not been expecting them, because still it's a big deal to get Hull City to kind of not let him go, but to come up with an amount of money that makes it worth their while.
17 mil, I think, wasn't it?
So, yeah, 70 plus. Plus obviously knock-ons if he represents country and and all those the normals. And then Aaron Hickey as well. I think from Bologna. He's I think like 15 million, rising to 20 probably. He's someone we tried to get in last January. It was a transfer that didn't. We were crying out for a right back, and that was the one. But fair play to our DOF. He waited for the player he wanted. He didn't just press a panic button, get anyone in. It was a gamble. It could have gone wrong, but it didn't. So I agree.
I was looking at because predominantly he's played left back, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Yeah,
and obviously you've got Nick Henry, who's I think is a really good left back already.
Yeah, so Rico Henry.
Yeah, Rico. Sorry, yeah. So is the view that he's going to switch him to a right back, or is he going to move him into midfield?
He'll be on in the couple of the recent pre-season friendlies.
It was a really interesting thing that I read about him, that he was the first Scot to score 5 goals in the Italian league since Graham Souness.
Really?
Five goals last season from fullback, which is no.
I expect Graham Souness to be commentating on that during the season as well. So,
yeah.
I've got to say though, Craig, and thank you for those questions, but I don't want to remind you. We did a show, didn't we? Was it with yourself, Snog, Marry, Avoid? Was that with you?
No, I wasn't in that one.
No, you weren't. No, I would have remembered if I'd snogged you. Just so anybody panics, it wasn't Snog, Marry, Avoid. It was buy, keep, or sell.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, buy, sell, or loan. Sorry, that was what we were doing. And we, of course, are one member down. We have lost Casper. I did a show earlier at lunchtime today. An end of an era for us.
I think there was something. You may be able to correct me on this, Dave, but apparently there was an official complaint put in from Brentford that there was a Danish player in the Premier League who wasn't playing for you.
yeah. It's true. There's a couple. Chelsea have got one. Yeah, there are a few, believe it or not. But we don't do too badly out of our Danish cousins. But let's not forget our owner does own a Danish club as well. He owns FC Midtjylland.
But Damsgaard, I know Damsgaard was a player that we were interested in. I think in last year he'd come up quite a bit because I think he played. He had a good Euros. And again, he looks quite an exciting prospect. So it all looks pretty encouraging for you. For us,
yeah, we've spent a lot of money. Yeah, Damsgaard doesn't come without risk, though. He got diagnosed with arthritis, and he missed a lot of games last season for Sampdoria. Yeah. So we've got penchant for damaged stains as well. So
Well, then you should have got Vestergaard. Then
exactly,
really?
Get back in for him.
Yeah, but how big a loss? I mean, my thought on him, Craig, on Casper was that he's probably one of the highest wage earners.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to get that off. We've not got a lot of money for him, but we bought him for $1 million. I think we sold him for allegedly $850. But obviously, it's who he was as a person. I think Danny Ward's going to be probably the number one for the Premier League. I know he had a behind the closed door game recently to assess his fitness. And Iverson, I would like to see him, in the cup games, to see him bring him on. But how is it going to affect sort of the morale and the team itself? Do you think?
I think you're right where you touched on it there. I think his loss will probably be seen more behind the scenes than on the pitch. He's still one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League by far. But the other areas of his game, I think he probably suffered a bit because of the defence that he had in front of him. But I don't think he could be classed as not being culpable as part of that as well. He'd lost his sort of command of the penalty area. And there's no way that's coming back at the age of 35. So, as tough of it as it's going to be, at some point, he would have had to have moved on. And in many ways, it's better that he's done it after a decent season rather than him sort of going downhill and having some really dodgy performances. And then there's a harder decision to make. So I think as hard as it is for all Leicester City fans to see him go, it's probably the best way it could have happened, to be honest. He's going to get a 3-year deal, whereas he only had a year left anyway. And I don't think there was any way they were going to give him a new contract. But, I'm sure we'll see him again in some guys and a fantastic servant. But you're right, it's time for the new guard.
Yeah, he will go with our love. And he did a lovely leaving video as well. And as I say, we haven't got sort of any of this season to compare against. So we are sort of looking at last season and how we as teams managed. I mean, Dave, looking at this here, it's fair to say that sort of in goals we scored more than you. We created more. One more chance we created than you. Passes attempted, we beat you a lot more. But in fairness, that was probably Ward and Soyuncu playing keep ball at the back. But you actually kept, you conceded less goals and kept more clean sheets. Is that something you're going to be obviously going to have to look ahead at doing that again next season?
Yeah, the clean sheets are vital, aren't they? Let's be honest here. The chances, although we did okay with creating chances, but it's if you're not conceding and you're kind of just nicking a goal and you're not chasing in that game, not going a goal down. Overall, we did okay. But there's certainly room for improvement. We're certainly not saying we're the finished article. We've got defenders in now. The Ben Mee, Pinnock. Ethan Pinnock is injured for the first few games of the season, so we've got options at the back there, and we've got the inverted sort of fullbacks, the attacking sort of wing back, so that we love to overlap with our wingers. That we've got our full complement. We're not kind of lopsided, which we were for chunks of last season. So we did need more strength and depth. It's scary a little bit now to see the kind of money that you have to spend. We're looking at 20 million plus now for players, and that's something that's it's just quadrupled in the last couple of years. So
yes.
It just shows you by surviving it kicks you on to that next level, and we just got to carry on doing what we do well, which is identifying players to play in our system, believing in the system, and the head coach as well.
And it has changed. I mean, it's up now on Leicester Till I Die TV. It was a recorded interview I did with Brian Little yesterday lunchtime, and even you remember Brian Little, Craig. For me, that was the start of where we went, and we've been up and down since then. But lovely guy, and he sort of said he wished he'd had the money in them days that the manager's got now. But saying hi to Miss Molina there, saying good luck for the game. Good luck for you tonight, taking on Palace. Let's hope you got a better start to the season than you did last year. If not, the BBC and the Pointless Show are waiting for you again, Mel.
I'm out.
But I mean, Craig, us and clean sheets last season, it was like our back four was being sponsored by Andrex. We couldn't keep a clean sheet.
No, it was pretty poor all round. And I say, I think the Fofana injury in pre-season, I think not only threw Brendan's plans out and they had to think quickly. I think there was a psychological blow to that as well, that the players struggled with a little bit. And I think we, in the first few games of the season, you could see that we weren't getting forward as much. We weren't creating chances early in the season, in the first half a dozen, 8 games or so, because I think we were a little bit wary about what was going on behind and the injuries that we'd had and that big blow. So I don't think we ever cracked it, did we? And even now, I was reading today that we've been trying to bring in a set pieces coach, but that's been wrapped up in red tape thanks to Brexit. So I don't think anything's going for us at the minute. So
we've got to be careful we don't turn, and no disrespect, Molina, we've got to be careful we don't turn into Arsenal, though, haven't we? And start moaning. And we might have to get used to having Wes again this season because, Chelsea may just nip him off. But what is it with Leicester, Craig, and playing Spanish teams in pre-season friendlies and players getting injured?
Yeah,
Ricardo, how long's he out for? 6 months?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to miss at least the rest of the year. He's going to miss the World Cup as well, which is sad for him. I mean, I don't think you can even blame that on a Spanish player this time round, though. It was just a freak thing that there was nobody near him when you could see he was on the ball, and then he just felt it and sat down. But again, another pre-season body blow for us, and we should just definitely avoid Spanish teams, I think, in pre-season.
I think so. Dave, last season, you came up. We managed to do the double over you. I think you were probably about the only team that we did. Your memories of playing us last season?
Memories were you scored 3 worldies, and and the games were probably a lot more even than that. I think a draw at your place, I think we deserved. I think we created a lot that afternoon. And you scored two stunning goals. Let's not. I'm not going to take that away from you. I think the double flattered you, but you you're a good benchmark. You played good football. You played well against us. So we owe you one. So I'm looking forward to a bit of payback on Sunday, I have to admit.
Dave, you touched on it there. Obviously, you've brought in a couple of youngsters who may take some time to adjust to the game. I was quite impressed with, I'm not sure whether it's pronounced Wissa or Vissa, last season when he came in towards the end of the season. But from a second season perspective, do you think you've got enough goals in you?
Yeah, I do. I don't think we're not going to struggle. We even without Ericsson, we didn't struggle in the XG department. We created good chances. Brian Mbumo, he hit the bar or hit the post woodworks sort of 6 or 7 times, which in another season 3 of those go in. Probably 3 of them go wide. I'm not saying they all go in, but he needs to find his finishing, and I think he's just got to carry on doing. You've got to carry on doing the right things, and I think that's the philosophy. Brentford are very focused. They've got a lot of belief in the way they approach the game, the way they set up. They won't be phased about the second season syndrome. It's nonsense anyway. there's it's statistically proven that second season syndrome isn't a thing. Obviously there are examples where promoted teams struggle in the second season, but there's even more that just thrive. Looking at the Brightons and the Burnleys. So
I think one of them went on to win the league in the second season.
Yes, they did. No, didn't they just do that? And again, there you go. That's the inspiration for us all. It's keeping the core and the nucleus of a great team together and building on it. I mean, what you did, it was an inspiration to everyone in football. And I'm not saying we're going to win the league. That was a miracle that may never happen again. But we all hold our own. I've got no doubt about that.
Craig, I mean, do you agree with the memories? Do you think that Brentford were unlucky last season?
I think we did score some worldies. I mean, I don't know how Tielemans didn't win goal of the season for us with his strike at their place. I think they were pretty even games, and you're right, and maybe it is that little bit of quality at the end of it to be hitting the net instead of woodwork, and I think everybody was impressed with Brentford last season. They played to their strengths. They didn't come up and do a Burnley and try and be long ball. Although they were physical, they played to their strengths. But I mean, I can remember the first game of the season where you totally bullied Arsenal to get that victory there. But no, I think everybody was impressed with Brentford, and it's good to see that, to show that teams can come up and hold their own. I'm a big believer that if 90% of success at football is having players that can work to your system, and if they all know their jobs, then you'll do pretty well. It's then, can you sprinkle it with one or two players who have got a little bit of magic about them? Brentford had a system, they stuck to it, the players all knew what they were doing, and it showed on the pitch, to be fair. And as you say, you've added a couple now, so it'll be really interesting to see whether you can kick on.
Sorry,
agree.
go on.
And if we can get that, I mean, if we can get Damsgaard across the line, I mean, the chances are he won't be a done deal until after the weekend, if my sources are correct. So he won't be in the equation for the curtain raiser. But if we can get a player like him, who's pushing for the world class kind of label, then that gives us the extra quality we need. And Ivan Toney, he's a handful. Bumo on one wing, as you said, Weiser on the other wing. We've got options now, and we've got Lewis Potter as well. So it's looking all right.
I mean, I forgot what I was going to say now. You got another question quickly, Craig? What was going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Damsgaard will be interested if you do get him across the line, because as everyone knows, Tony's hold-up play is fantastic. And I think that's something that we struggled with a bit last season. The ball was coming up and, Jamie wants to run in behind. Daka wants to run in behind. The only one who looks to hold it up a bit if he's playing is Iheanacho, and his hold-up play isn't always great. But with Tony, it is. And if you've got then somebody like Damsgaard who likes to play in that 10 joining in, that's going to be quite potent, I think.
What's happening with Maddison? My pet hate. Is he going to be?
He's your pet hate.
Yeah, I can't stand him. He hates us as well. I know it's a love hate thing. We give him plenty of grief, and he always scores against us. It's quite a good relationship for him. But is talk about him moving on as well?
I'm sure you've got your view here, Chris. I'd be absolutely shocked if he ended up at Newcastle. I really would. If somebody else came in for him, I think his head might be turned a little bit more. But for me, I think he really wants to get in that England squad. And I think the best place to do that is for him to stay where he is and play. He was fantastic second half of last season. He looks sharp again pre-season. He looks like he's got the bit between his teeth. I'm expecting a big season from Maddison. It's too much of a gamble. If I was Maddison, that's a gamble going to Newcastle now. I think Newcastle are trying to go too big too quickly, to be honest. I think they're going for big names instead of trying to build it slowly. And the thing is that any elite player, and I put Maddison in that category as an elite player, that's going to be a big gamble as to whether that pays off. And I don't think Maddison's at the stage of his career where he can afford to gamble on a project like Newcastle. So I'd be surprised if he goes anywhere, to be honest. I don't know what you think, Chris.
For me, I mean, Darren Bent came out and said it would be a backward move for him, which has annoyed a few of the Newcastle fans. I'm sure you'll agree. I don't think wherever he goes, to be honest with you, unless it's one of the so-called big six, that Gareth Southgate would even consider having him back in the squad. It's, you know, he's taken a dislike to him, and that seems to be it. You know, as we touched on this before we came live, Craig. I, as you know, I'm a big supporter of Brendan, but coming out and saying as he did, and he was covering his own arse. That's basically what he was doing, and saying like we've got to sell before we can bring anybody in. He's obviously backtracking on what he said earlier in the season, and obviously that's just said he might as well have stuck a sign up that said fire sale outside the KP, you know, because everybody's now suddenly being linked, and they are only links at the moment. I don't think Maddison will go. I have to be honest with you. I don't think we'd let him go. The other thing that I did read was that it was an agent thing for him to try and get a bit more money on a new contract that we're about to offer him. And you know, if anybody's going to go, it's going to be Tielemans. I think we've accepted that. Yeah. And I don't think that as much as we love the owners, I think there would be murmurings if they let Tielemans and Maddison go in the same window. You know.
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean, for me, at the start of this season, Fofana and Maddison were the two untouchables for me, and you build a team around those. Fofana's being a little bit naughty, I think, in what he's been doing on social media. He did the same things when he was at Saint Etienne, and ended up getting a move that he wanted. I'm not sure whether he's got a bit of a cheeky side to him, Fofana, so he might just be playing the game. But I think if we keep him this season, then I think we enjoy him for this season, because I can't see us keeping him next season at all. He's too good for us, you know, and it pains me to say it as a Leicester fan, but he's a world-class defender, and he's only going to get better. So I can't see him staying longer than this season.
And for us, and sorry, Dave, we will come back to the game in a minute, but for us, or certainly for me, he's just signed a 5-year contract. So basically, he's not going anywhere unless we get an absolutely ridiculous. If we get 80 million for Harry Maguire, then I'm sorry, Fofana's 100 million, you know, and then you're not going to turn that down. You would be absolutely mad to turn it down. And Geordie Toon for Life, I noticed you just come in. Hello. I mean, you know, if Newcastle, you've got the money, but everybody's thinking about FFP now. You know, we're looking at Man City sort of clearing the decks to bring players in. So, but no, I think, as I said, I think this season it will just be Tielemans, and I wish Arsenal would get off the backside and say, just write that check and he's yours. That's all we're saying. But Dave, I mean, I love Brentford. I like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, because I still count Leicester as a smaller club. But I like to see the smaller clubs come up and kick the balls, if you like, of the big boys. And you had a great start to the season with that Arsenal. You know, you stayed up. I think most people said that you were probably the one out of the three that came up would stay up. But I mean, it must have been great for you, that feeling when you got up, and you know that first game against Arsenal that night. You must have absolutely loved the season.
Yeah, that's a night I'd love to relive. You know, it was special. It was meant to be, and you know it'll never be forgotten. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, you know, when you're a grown up, you realise that you know it counts for nothing this year. You know, they're happy memories, and you know you're right. You know, I think teams like Brentford, teams like Leicester, We actually do our own T-shirts that say "Teams like Brentford" on it because we get so many. We should be beating teams like Brentford. We should never have lost to a team like Brentford. We do contribute. You're right. The Premier League needs teams like Leicester, teams like Brentford. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And we contribute so much. I think looking at the pundits and what they're predicting for us to happen, it's just lazy. You can explain what's happening at Brentford over and over again, but you can't make people understand it. We could be second season syndrome candidates, but it's unlikely. There's too much preparation. There's too much intelligence going on in the hierarchy at Brentford for us to be scrambling around at the bottom. We've improved on last season off the pitch. We just need to now get the points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, this is what football's all about, isn't it, Craig? I mean, I would have loved, because I can't stand Forest, obviously, but I would have loved Luton to have come up. I nipped onto Dan's channel early, just in the chat, because he's doing a preview of the Luton-Burnley game at the weekend, and there's a Burnley fan on. And I did thank him for James Justin and for looking after Kieran for a year for us. But I would have loved to have seen Luton come up. Teams that haven't been up before. Well, certainly not in the Premier League. I know they've been up in the First Division. But that is what football is all about, is having that dream, isn't it?
I think, you're right. And there would have been a lot of nostalgia because looking at Kenilworth Road would have taken us back to the days of Filbert Street, I think.
Yeah.
Because that is an old ground, isn't it? But again, the manager there has done a great job on limited budget. And it just shows you, we talk about this all the time, don't we, about the real strength of a manager is, could you do it on a shoestring budget? The likes of Pep and Mourinho and all that with big budgets. But when you build a team, there's got to be a lot more satisfaction in doing what the likes of when we came up and what Thomas Frank has done, of building a team and then seeing it grow and nurturing it. So Luton have done fantastic over the last couple of seasons, and again they can't throw money around. So it would have been great to see them, and again, it's now interesting to see what's going on at Forest with them throwing a lot of money around. There's a lot of talk of whether they're going to do a Fulham. I think they've signed about 15 players. Wouldn't it be a
shame if they did?
It would be absolutely.
Yes, I feel there's no love lost in that neck of the woods between you and the tricky trees. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they really care about us, but we've not really had anybody as a derby for quite a while.
I think you want Forest to go down is equally as much as we want Fulham to go down. I think there's
exactly.
Maybe they both will. Maybe they both do as well.
We fingers crossed, Dave. Fingers crossed. I mean, I think it's a very interesting season all the way round, and I'll come to you first with this, Dave, and then the same question over to Craig, because obviously we've got the World Cup in the middle of the season. As soon as the World Cup finishes, on I think it's the 18th of December, the 26th of December, Boxing Day, we're back in the Premier League. 1st of January, the transfer window opens. And I think there'll be a lot of managers that will be a little bit worried if they're not doing so well when it comes to the World Cup break. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to sack Thomas Frank, but I think there'll be other managers, Lampard possibly, and I'll ask you about Rodgers in a second, Craig. But are you worried that another team might come in for Thomas Frank? Because I mean, he's done a great job at Brentford, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's probably more of a chance of that than us sacking him. If I'm honest.
Oh yeah, I don't think you'd sack him, to be honest.
That's always a concern, and I guess it's part of the deal. Is like you come to Brentford and you prove yourself, and we won't step in the way if someone really massive comes in. I don't think Thomas Frank will leave us for anyone other than a ridiculous offer. I think he probably will leave us for the Danish national team at some stage. He's coached at every youth level for Denmark. You know, he will want the full national team on his CV at some stage. But to be honest with you, he's got a job for life at Brentford, within reason. You know, it's just 20 defeats on the trot. That would probably get him the sack.
Yeah.
But you know, even in the darkest days of last season, there was no hint. You know, there's always fans that we're always 3 defeats away from some fans wanting him out, or you know, as you well know, you know, the panic button on some supporters is like a hair trigger, isn't it? But for anyone that kind of knows how the club runs, or spoken to the owner or the directors of football, it's he's integral to the success and the future.
Yeah. And Craig, the same question to you. I mean, it does sound to me, and I mean, I'm a Rodgers in, but I'm wavering maybe a little bit. But you know, it looks like he's starting to get the excuses in early this season. A, do you think that, that is the time, I say, when managers are going to, owners are going to think like, right, we've got the World Cup coming up, so we've got 8 weeks to get somebody in, get them used to the team that are still here, and then get them in ready for the January transfer window?
I think it very much it depends on the size of club that you are. I think going back to Thomas Frank, I think the thing is these days, the elite clubs, I don't think we'll ever see the days again where they take a chance on a manager. So as well as Thomas Frank does, I don't think any elite club is going to come in for him, because I think they're too scared. I mean, Spurs tried it with the guy from Wolves, didn't last very long. So I think you've just got a merry-go-round of clubs. So and whether Thomas Frank would jump to a middling team, I'm not sure. So I think he's pretty safe there, to be honest. What I would say is, if I was the likes of Frank Lampard, I'd be a bit fidgety in my seat while Pochettino is sitting out of a job. Yeah. And I think any team of a decent size that has a very sluggish start, I think Pochettino will be linked with them pretty quickly. So I think the first few weeks is going to be interesting from a managerial point of view. And then it becomes, as you say, the World Cup, and anything can happen around that time. As you say, you've got a break there and a window. So it makes it a natural time to get rid of a manager during that break, and then give them the time to look at a window. So I think you're right. So I think it'll be a sluggish start, or a poor performance running into the World Cup is going to see a few managers getting a bit twitchy.
Poch at Leicester?
You know what? If Brendan went tomorrow, I'm sure he'd be linked. And I'm sure he would see it as a project that he'd be interested in as well. I know he's done PSG, he's done Spurs. I would have thought that it would have been an interesting project. So, a sluggish start from Leicester. Brendan will be under pressure, and if Pochettino's sitting around without a job, I can see the links being made already.
I mean, you would say that Brendan, with all that he's done, it is not untouchable, but he's safe. But then, 2 words: Claudio Ranieri. Won us the damn Premier League, and he was gone sort of 6 months later. Yeah. But I want to ask you both again, same question, but we'll go with Dave first. Thoughts on Leicester City last season and how our season went. Rene, if you say you want Potter again, I'm sorry, mate. Go. That's a no-no in this chat. That's a no-no. But no, Dave, I'm just not a Potter fan. Dave, what do you think of Leicester season last time?
It seems like you're, from the outside looking in, you're a club in a state of flux. Really, I'm not really sure. It could go one or two ways for you. If I know, in truth, you could lose a couple of players and the manager make a wrong replacement. Brendan Rodgers is probably always going to be looking what's the best next move for Brendan Rodgers. I think if he sees a club that if he thinks it's probably too big a rebuild at Leicester, I'll jump to Everton. I think maybe not Everton. That's probably better. I mean, they're a basket case. Pochettino's not going to go there. There's a good chance Everton are going to go down.
I think there's the one team that make Man United look stable.
Big financial, worries there. So yeah, I mean, I hope you can pull it around, but I think it could go the other way. And the start to your seasons is imperative. You get a couple of wins, and you can sort of start to breathe easy again. But if you start lose 2 or 3 or get a point against us, you don't get a win on the board for 3 or 4 weeks, then it could turn a little bit toxic, and that's what I don't think any club can afford the start of the season to be is toxic after 3 weeks. It's a long season. So I hope it's all right for you guys, but I'm wanting to come and, as I said, get a bit of payback on Sunday.
And Craig, looking at Brentford's season last season, finished 13th. They would have taken that at the start of the season, obviously.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure, as I touched on earlier, I think they didn't change anything. I think that was the big thing, that they didn't think, right, we're going into the Premier League, we've got to tinker. He stayed with what worked and what was successful to get you up, stuck with it. And as I say, if the process is right, if the formation, the style of play is right, it's just getting the right players to play that system rather than abandoning all your ideals about how you want to play football and switching it to the players. That's only ever going to end one way, particularly for clubs the size of Brentford, and no disrespect to let's say teams like Brentford.
Yeah.
But you have to have a philosophy of playing and then bring players in to fit it. As soon as you start thinking we're going to play to the strengths of individual players, you're on a slippery slope, because it only needs those players to get injured or get sold. It all goes out the window. So I think Thomas Frank has done it the right way. I think he's built it solidly, and then you just tinker and you slowly improve year on year out. And what I also like is there's no mad rush. Some teams, like I touched on earlier with Newcastle. Newcastle for me seem to be trying to go too big too quickly without building it. Brentford have done it the right way, and you'll just improve year on year. If you stay in the Premier League for the next 10 years, I'm sure you'll be more than chuffed, to be honest. So just that building it and strengthening it and becoming an established Premiership team. The likes of Burnley did it for years. Southampton, you would say, are no big club, but they've been there, and they just keep it going and improve year on year, although I think they could be in a little bit of trouble this year. But great season for Brentford, and I'm sure, if not better, I think it will definitely be at least a season of just consolidating what you did last year.
I actually have you, Dave, down in we did the prediction shows last night, and with Josh Sportsia on Twitter, and we agreed on you. We agreed on a lot anyway, but I actually had Brentford finish in 15th.
Okay, so that's worse than last season. Okay, but
that's
not relegated, so that's okay.
No, we don't think you're going to go down. Just before we come and say hi to Brookline, nice to have you back in, mate. Hope you are well. Again, same question, but first to Dave. Which players are going to cause Leicester problems tomorrow? Sorry, Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, I mean, Ivan will always cause you problems, and Brian and Bumo. So those two. You touched upon Wisa. I'm obviously going to look at it in an offensive threat rather than a defensive threat. Our goalkeeper's not going to cause. Well, hopefully, he will cause you problems in terms of he won't let anything in. I'm looking forward to just seeing, Norgard, Jensen, Wisa, Bumo, and Tony on top on their A game. As I said, if Damsgaard comes in, I don't think it's going to be for this weekend, so you haven't got to worry about that. So yeah, I think coming forward and Keane Lewis Potter, will he start? Probably not. He'd probably be on the bench. So yeah, I think the starting lineup that we beat Real Betis at our place on Saturday, I think the starting lineup for that game would be the one that starts up at your place on Sunday.
And who's going to cause Brentford problems? I mean, I know it's like sticking finding a needle in a haystack, knowing what Brendan's going to do in advance. We discovered that a few seasons ago. But how do you think he's going to go, first of all, Craig, and which players are going to cause Brentford problems?
Well, it'd be interesting to see now, because obviously he set up the first half against Sevilla with a back five and playing wing backs. That may have been thrown a little now with Ricardo being out. So he may end up going. I mean, he could still go with it and switch Castagna over and bring or move Castagna into a left-sided of the three and bring Thomas in. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he's going to go with it now. I think he was leaning in pre-season towards a 5, but as I say, with Ricardo going down, his options are limited. I think, as I said earlier, I think it's a massive season. Massive first half of the season for Maddison, and I expect him to try and hit the ground running. And what I love about Maddison, and I know some people don't like him, and I can understand that, but from a purely footballing point of view, I don't think there's many better players in the Premier League at taking the ball on the half turn and getting at defences quickly when he does it. You see the likes of Jack Grealish. I was talking about Jack Grealish earlier today. As soon as he gets the ball, he's almost been pulled into that Man City way of thinking already, that he slows the game down now when he gets the ball. It's almost like he wants to draw a couple of players to try it, and he'll end up just passing it back inside. Whereas the likes of Maddison and also Barnes, who's looked really fresh pre-season, he was pictured today with some crutches. So yes, I'm not sure whether that was precautionary. I would hope he's fit because he's looked really sharp in pre-season. I like what he's come out and said this week in his interviews about what he's trying to learn from the likes of Salah and those players who play wide but get goals. He's still trying to learn. If he plays and he's fit, I think he will cause you some trouble as well. And then we know that Jamie Vardy, always playing on the shoulder, is a threat to anyone. What I will say is, from what I saw of Brentford last season, Brentford won't give you anything. If you get anything against Brentford, you've earned it. So I don't expect us to be given anything. I think we'll have to hit the ground running to get a result. But I do expect us to get one.
I know it's one of your.
You can hear. Sorry, I should just say I don't know if you can hear the fireworks going off in the background. I'm not in the middle of a war zone or anything like that. I know you won't worry, but don't worry.
So is that the announcement of Vestergaard being told?
Yeah. You've signed Vestergaard. We're having a party. Yeah, I'm down in Poland. Thursday night is the firework night for.
I noticed one of the comments that come across about Brentford's second season, about saying second season. The players get injured and what have you, and that's what happened to Leeds. We had an awful injury crisis last season, so we survived with an injury crisis already, and we strengthened the team. So you're right, it can happen, and I'm not naive enough to suggest that I'm going to take anything at all for granted about being in the Premier League. But we've strengthened, and we did have an injury crisis already last year, and we got through it. So we'll be all right. We're strong enough.
Yeah. Brookline, I hope you are well, because I wouldn't wish this on anybody. He says, I agree with Craig, about 95% of the time we might be related to each other. Brookline, just go and check your family tree, and fingers crossed you're not. We're coming towards the end of the show, so we're going to be score prediction time. We've always got to end with score prediction. And also, I'm going to ask you, as we'll do at the start of the first few games of the season, ask you your 3 to go down. We'll be right back after this.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform, or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Right, so I've picked the. That's what we think the score will be. Not very. Oh God, I've had one of those weeks this week. Right, let me get it up on the other screen. Dave, first of all, let me come to you. What do you think the score is going to be?
I'm going to go 2-0 Brentford.
2-0 to Brentford. Wow. And Craig, this year newly into the Xbox Players League, so you've got a lot to live up for too. What are you got? No, not an awful lot. Cause I came bottom last term, but what do you see this?
I'm going to go with an optimistic 3-1 victory.
Ah, right. I'm just wondering. Just bear with me, guys, as to why this didn't work. There's obviously a reason why not. And I will go through everybody's scores, which I'm afraid, Dave, aren't looking too good at the moment.
Oh, okay. Look, I didn't expect anything different. You know what I mean? They'll count for nothing, so I'm not bothered.
Exactly.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Particularly my predictions, they usually do count for absolutely nothing.
I know jack shit.
Okay. Right. So. They won't come up, so let me just go through them. So, yeah, Craig has gone for a 3-1. I went for a 2-1. Steve Linux went for a 2-0. Steve Walsh went for a 2-1. Ian Marshall went for a 2-1. Jerry Taggart went for a 2-1. Ian Wilson went 2-0. So if we score 2 goals, we're all going to be very, very happy. Yes, and Jerry Taggart is the one I would worried about because he absolutely walked the prediction league last season. I stuck by Leicester too much. I was too loyal. I always went for a Leicester win, and that's why we ended up bottom. But final question before we just let everybody go. Dave, again, come to you first. 3 to go down.
3 to go down for me are going to be Bournemouth, rock bottom, and I'll give you Forest, and as long as I can have Fulham as well. Fulham, Forest, and Bournemouth to go down.
I'm sure we wouldn't mind that at all. Craig, for you,
tricky one. I agree with Fulham. I got a feeling Forest are going to stay up. I think they've brought in a lot of players, so that could go either way. But I think I like the manager. I think he's decent, the manager there. So Fulham, I think Bournemouth will struggle. I think you're right there. And the other one, I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. It's a toss-up between Southampton and Leeds and Everton. You touched on it before, Dave. I think this could be the season that Everton go.
And I think, Dave, I would go and check the family silver if I was you. It sounded like somebody was making
I know,
a quick getaway.
It's obviously idiots everywhere, yeah.
Vestergaard does ride a motorcycle.
Funny thing is, on a Tuesday, that is exactly down here because it's motorbike night on a Tuesday on Paul Promenade, so it's absolutely more noisy than the fireworks. You saw everybody out there was having their own say on the 3 that go down. I've actually got, for me, bottom Leeds United. I think this will be the season they go down. They sold some good players, not replaced them. They were lucky, on that last day of the season. If Burnley had matched the score, they would have gone down. Like you say, you were down to 9 men, Dave. And I don't, like I always say, I don't know if anybody's ever watched, is it Ted Lasso on TV? Yeah. I see Jesse Marsh in that. Whenever I was watching it, I could see that being Leeds. So I'm not impressed with him as a manager, so I've got him down in 20th. Bournemouth, I've got in 19th. As much as I would want them to stay up because it's 10 minutes down the road to me, it's like a home game to me. So I'd love Bournemouth to stay up. So I've got Bournemouth, Southampton, Brighton, all much more local than Leicester. But I'm not again impressed with Scott Parker as a manager. So And the third one I've got is Southampton. I think this is the season. I think they've flirted with it for a few seasons. And I think this will be the season. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Hussenthal actually walk out the club, because I think he's just not... He's doing that job with handcuffs on. But I think this will be the season that he struggles. And I'm sorry, Dave, but I've got Fulham in 17th, though. So, you know.
as I said, they count for nothing. So
They don't.
It's always good to know what people think. And, you know,
exactly.
as long as we get another bite of the cherry in 2023, 24, I'm happy.
Dave, thank you so much for coming on. I know you've been on holiday. I hope you had a good one. I say holiday. You were on a flight. I'm presuming it was a holiday. And nice to get you back safely. Really, I do like Brentford, as I said earlier. You know, I hope you have a really good season, obviously, apart from when you play us. Again, your details are in the description below on YouTube. But again, just give a shout out where people can actually find you.
Yeah, come and find us on Twitter at Bessotted, BEESOTTED, Bessotted, and all the links to our podcasts and the stories, and bessotted.com is the website. Everything's there. So yeah, head follow us on Twitter and enjoy what we do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, sir. I'll let you go, because I say you're probably a bit knackered after your flight.
Yeah, I didn't get back till 5, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here as early as you did.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Good luck for the season. Take care, mate. Take care. Bye-bye. Craig, so it's back.
It is.
You will be there, I presume.
I will be there indeed. I will be there, and it was announced today that the club are very kindly putting on a free beer for everyone.
Yes,
and also, a lot of people will be pleased to hear this now. Whether it's going to be for the whole season, but the clappers have been replaced with flags.
Yes. I'd noticed, because obviously I did a lot of the Women's Euros, that there was a lot of clappers in all the games at the Women's Euros. But I don't think they got the idea that they were actually meant to be clapped, because on one of the things it had like gold
in it, yeah.
And all they did was hold it up when there was a goal. They didn't use it at any other time. I like the clappers, as you know. I think they're a good idea. But and I think these people that moan about it, if you don't want to clap with it, don't use your hands, you know. But no, enjoy the game on Sunday.
Cheers,
and don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy, as I always say.
I'll try not to.
No, it'll be nice to get down the KP. It'll be a bit strange seeing somebody else between the sticks, I'm sure. But what sort of reception do you think Fofana's going to get?
I think he'll be fine. I think the fans will be giving him every encouragement to show how much he's loved, to be honest.
Well, I hope it does go that way, because we know what fans can be like, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
You know. But Craig, thank you very much. It's good to have you back.
Thanks,
even
mate.
Without the beard. Even without the beard. And we're going to see you hopefully soon, once things settle down into the new season, with the new quiz, the new big football quiz.
Exactly. And it's the first one is virtually finished and ready to go. So
brilliant. So what we're doing, as we do with all of them, we're doing a pilot show.
A pilot show with a charity contestant, making him feel like they're still part of the Premier League.
Oh, it's a good job he's doing his own show and he's not watching this. But indeed. Craig, all the best to you and your family. Cheers, mate. Always, really appreciate you coming on. We will speak soon. Thank you very much. Take care.
You soon. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, everyone. Good night.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks to my, well, not my wise old owl, but the wise old owl that is Craig. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, for a different sort of quiz. Basically, we have got, I'm looking for my cards here. Here we go. We have got a Premier League quiz. Just a bit of fun, because it's the day before we actually kick off. Well, the weekend before we kick off tomorrow night. So we've got a Leicester fan, a Liverpool fan, a West Ham fan, a Bournemouth fan, and a Leeds United fan. It's going to be a little bit different, hopefully a bit of a laugh and a joke, and we will see. We will see how that goes tomorrow. But if you've watched this, thank you very much to everybody that was in the chat. It's great that you come in. Renee, thank you very much. Scott, thank you for modding. Who else was in? Bookline, brilliant to see you again, mate. Welcome back. TM, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And anybody else who has been Leicester Till I Die was in the chat. Who would have known? Lovely guy he is. I'll tell you. But no, and Geordie Toon for Life, he was in. Thank you so much. If you have been watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you have subscribed, then smash the likes. It does help with YouTube's algorithms, in as much as they it just helps the channel appear on when they're doing a general search. So please smash the likes if you can. And if you've been listening on podcast, thank you very much for lending me your ears. So I'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock with the big fat football quiz. Pre-season friendly, you could call it. But let's just hope that nobody's going to get injured. Thanks for everything. Take care. It's back. Football is back. Take care. Stay safe. Don't do anything I won't enjoy now. Good night.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
Cool. I'm out of here. Ooh, that's a wrap.
Some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now.